Okay, so far we have only visualized single variables, but sometimes you may be interested in describing visually or in tabular form the relationship between two categorical variables. So assume, for example, that we would like to know how many countries are high-income countries, upper-middle-income countries, lower-middle-income countries, low-income countries in the various regions. If that is a question I'm interested in, then the correct visualization or the correct tabular form of describing that kind of data would be a crosstab. And for that purpose, we use again a pivot table. But what we need to do is we first highlight the entire array of our data. You can do that either with Control A, or you can just highlight everything with a Control and arrow keys. Doesn't matter how you do it. And then we go to Insert, again pivot table, OK, and then it will open another sheet, so that will be our sheet 3. And so what we want to do is we want to put all the regions in the rows. So what we do is we drag the region into the rows, and the income group we put in the columns. And now what I want to do is I want to know how many countries are high income, low income. So it doesn't really matter which variable you drag into values. You can drag income group into the values and then make sure you have count. And then you see we have here in the first column 15, 14, 19 and 1. But we could also have put the region there. You see 15, 49, it's the same. So what the pivot table does, it simply looks at the combination of region and income group, and it is being triggered by any variable in this case. So even if I put country in there, you see 15, 49, 1, it's the same data. So when it comes to categorical data or a crosstab with categorical data, it doesn't really matter which variable you use in order to generate the count. Okay, so now we have a pivot table, and what we do next is we clean it up a little bit, and for that purpose we just copy it and paste it into a fresh sheet, and I'll just need this one. So I copy it and I open a new sheet and I paste special values. Okay, so whenever there is a blank, that is a 0. So what I do is I'll just replace the blanks. I search with Control F, and I just say I want to find nothing that's a blank, and I replace it by a 0. Replace all. Okay, close. And now we have a crosstab. So now I know that out of the 37 countries that we have in East Asia and the Pacific, 15 are high income, 1 is low income, 11 is lower middle income, and 10 is upper middle income. And out of the 58 countries that we have in Europe and Central Asia, 40 are high income, none is low income, and so on. So it's pretty intuitive. And again, if you want to, you can nicify that a little bit by maybe put in a something like this. Anyhow, so now we know 15 out of 37 countries in East Asia and the Pacific are high income. But if I want to display everything as in percentages, I can do that too. I'll just copy and paste the entire table. Again, and then I'll delete everything except for the grand totals. And then I can use a simple formula. I can say the percentage of high income countries in East Asia and Pacific is equal to 15 divided by 37. So that's 40%. So but now I want to copy this formula to the right, so I need to make sure that the 37, which is N6, is not being pushed to the right. So what I need to do is I need to anchor or fixate the N column. So I put an N in front of the N, a dollar sign. Okay. And then you see that the sum of all those percentages is equal to 1. Maybe you can see that here at the bottom. So we don't really need the grand total here. And for the percentages, we also don't need the grand total here, actually. Okay, but now I can copy this formula down, and I just press Ctrl D. And now we see that, for example, 100% of all the countries in North America, those are high income countries. And again, if you don't like all those decimals, we can highlight the numbers and either decrease the decimals, or what I would suggest is you just use the percentage. And then if you want to add a decimal point, you can do that. So now we have two cross tabs for two categorical data. Once we have the absolute counts and once the relative frequencies per region. Okay, so that's it for the categorical variables. And yeah, in the next video, we'll just briefly review again everything that we did, and then we move on with the graphical visualizations of quantitative data.